Hey everyone, this is S.M. Pratt, and today we're going to do a little bit of a response video to Rudy Alpha Investments' recent comment about Pokemon. He made a video, I think it was October 2nd. A few guys messaged me afterwards and said, hey, did you see what Rudy said? He said Pokemon's in decline. So what I want to do as someone who's more experienced in Pokemon is really get into that, contextualize that and talk about what I think Rudy's highlighting. I think he's talking about a specific corner or a specific product and a pattern within that. So I really want to sink my teeth in that, talk about distribution, and talk a little bit about Magic versus Pokemon, how they're different entities. There's certain similarities and there's certain intersections going on, but overall, Pokemon is a different animal than Magic. And I think for, Magic guys, even for me, Magic has a little bit of a learning curve for me as well, because all I see is collecting. I don't know, the playing aspect. So I really want to get into that, talk about the differences between the two. But in relation to Rudy's statement about Pokemon being in decline, in general, that's not true. In the context of what he's referring to modern product. That's what he deals with. He deals with like 90% modern product. He's essentially operating at this point as a distributor or pseudo distributor because he's balling out of control like that, and he can spend that type of money. So he's at that high volume level where he's buying, massive quantities of modern product. So from that perspective, after Pokemon Go, what happened is there was an explosivity with Sun and Moon, and the biggest problem was distribution. It wasn't the purchase orders from businesses. It was more in relation to distribution and how they just completely eliminated the price points that existed since the beginning of Pokemon. Before that time, I would say before Sun and Moon, boxes would sell consistently pre-order $90, and then they go anywhere from like 95 to let's say 120, depending on the playability, while they were still in production. We saw a dip all the way to $79.99 shipped. And the number one reason, I'm going to dance around this, and do the legalese, dance around this as much as I can. There is a certain distributor out there, we'll call them got that saturation, and they are most likely selling product direct to market, which is not supposed to happen. The floor price, for those who don't know, from a distributor is $71 a box for Pokemon. You cannot access that price as a business. Typically, businesses would get their product anywhere from 76 for crazy high volume people all the way up to 82, something like that. And that's again with that range of 95 and 120 being the, final retail sale price, because you need healthy margins for all this to work. But what happened is whenever this explosivity occurred, distributors just got greedy and they're like, screw it, we're going to undercut everybody. And that's what happened. So the number one issue was distribution, and this was rectified a little bit after Crimson Invasion. So Crimson Invasion was the fourth set in Sun and Moon, and it was absolute poop sauce. It was terrible. Crimson Invasion is one of the worst sets out there. It's like Homelands for Magic the Gathering, for Magic guys. It's worse than Steam Siege. It's I don't know. Emerging Powers might still be the sewer king. It might still be the garbage king there, but it was definitely a underwhelming set. There's a couple cards in there, but overall, it's just not a good set. So people made the same purchase orders expecting that same, Ultra Prism was solid, Guardians Rising was solid, expecting that same type of purchase because it was playable. That wasn't Crimson Invasion. So what happened? A lot of retail businesses took a bath. I know some people lost 50% of their spending power just because of Crimson Invasion. So that is why you saw this shift in product. And, for someone like Rudy who doesn't, no offense to him, Rudy, I like Rudy a ton. He's like, he has no fear of risk. Like that dude, he eats risk and shits out profit. Like he's just an entrepreneurial machine. He's like an entrepreneurial juggernaut. But in relation to Pokemon, he's more of like at a distant view, kind of like I am with Magic. I'm seeing it from a distance. I don't know all the little details in there. But one of the nuanced reasons for why this bounce back, you saw this dip or decline from, the first two sets, is because the set was just terrible. So after that, distribution had to restructure. I talked about this in another video. And they had to restructure and stabilize their process, because this situation of just dumping product for like $1 a box is not sustainable. These businesses were like, we're not making any more orders if this is what you're going to do. There are people who are buying hundreds of cases and they're like, we're not buying any more modern product if you're going to keep playing this way. And that's what it was. So they had to daddy up on distribution, and distribution's like, okay, we have to stabilize. And now the prices are different. That price range I gave you before, they're different now. The product's more allocated. It's more consistent. That's why you see a difference in I actually have a box right here. The Elite Trainer boxes from some Shining Legends. These were sitting somewhere around 40 on eBay, somewhere around there. And then the newest one, Dragon Majesty, is 50 right out of the gate. And that's an example of that stabilization. They're trying to stabilize these prices because the margins were just unhealthy. They were unsustainable. So that is the number one issue. And to tackle some of the other statements Rudy made in relation to Pokemon Go, Pokemon Go has always been like the scapegoat for any type of growth in this hobby since 2016. People are like, oh, hype Pokemon Go. And as of making this video, Pokemon Go was released 2 years and 4 months ago, as of making this video. So I don't know how long people want to keep holding on, to that excuse of the hype. Maybe we're still in the 1999 hype. Maybe that's what's still going on. It's all just one massive bubble, right? So that to me is more of an indication of people who don't have their ear to ground and aren't engaged in the hobby, because objectively speaking, the market is larger today than ever. There's more activity today than ever. Even if you want to look at 2016 till now, okay? Look at vintage seal product. Look at most PSA 10 to PSA 9 cards, especially the rarer cards, First Edition base, Shadowless, etc. Even if you want to talk about the natural retrace that occurred after the growth, it's like they still grew from this point. Just because you focus on that little dip, it still grew from 2016 in a big, real way. And it's sustained. That's the more important part. A lot of the stuff has stabilized today, especially for the set stuff. The stuff that's continuing to increase and see growth, look at like Skyridge, for example. First edition base obviously is a different animal, but these items that are very scarce, very rare, continue to see growth because they're actually rare. So at the end of the day, pretty much majority of the stuff that's been around from 2016 2018 has done nothing but grow and or stabilize. So if someone makes a claim about decline, I'm always willing to look at that. I'm prepared actually for some type of retrace or subtle, dip in the market. It's just natural. There's peaks and valleys all the time. But when people say the word decline, you actually have to quantify that. We had a retrace after 2017, but again, prices have stabilized. Even those new sales on PWCC, $20,000 PSA 10 Shadowless Charizard, you had other cards that were hitting new prices in a subtle way, some in a big way. So it's really hard to take that out of context because it's not true. In that context of modern, the number one answer is collectors are just fed up with modern in general. Serious collectors used to be down with X, Y. Serious, even me, I used to get excited about X and Y, and I think that all peaked with Evolutions. Evolutions was like the end of that game. And that's for a number of reasons. The aesthetics of the hyper rare, they didn't deliver like I thought they would. I like the pull rate idea, I like that, but it didn't deliver. The GX full arts, in my opinion, they're kind of a step down. And I think that's something a lot of people feel. I know this is more of an emotional, anecdotal argument here, but I think that's what a lot of people feel. And that isn't a lack of demand in the sense that people aren't interested. It's just a decrease in conceptualization. It's a decrease in aesthetic appeal. There's still that demand out there, and that demand is going into older stuff. That demand's going into promos and things like that, because that avenue of the modern, buying and chasing the full arts, it still exists for sure. It's always going to exist because the market's so massive, but it doesn't have that same core series collector avenue that it used to. And I think that's kind of splintered and it's gone in other directions. But either way, I could throw at you like Red's Pikachu, for example. Red's Pikachu literally sold out all packs in Japan. It's like, just please let me know how that means a decline. That one promo card release literally sold out all boxes in Japan. There's no exaggeration there. That's a reality. I'll give you some data for that. I had some SM3 boxes that I've just held for a while. I buy usually a few cases, just let them sit. Maybe I'll sell them down the road. I just like to have a case of everything. And I bought those probably like $40 around there, during release. And I had a Japanese guy the other day who's like, yeah, I can't get this anywhere else in Japan. I'll give you $65 a piece. Sold him all the boxes. All of them. And it's like, that's the thing I'm getting at, is that it's not... Pokemon is different than Magic in that Pokemon is a collectible TCG. Magic is a trading card game that's also collectible. And I think that's different. The first and foremost part of Pokemon is it's collectible. There's this visceral experience that we all had. So that naturally is going to be a little bit ambiguous. But for the people who understand the market and understand how that works, I'm someone who, if anything, I'm looking for indicators of like, okay, is there going to be some type of decline because the market is so high? It's another video I'll have to make. But I just don't see the indicators yet. If I do, I'll talk about them. But in relation, again, to what Rudy said, it's more about modern product and how it's stabilized after that crazy bump. And a lot of it's because of got that saturation, just saturated the market. And then after that, businesses were just shouted at them and said, we're not going to play ball if you keep doing this. And then they're like, okay, we got to figure out another solution. So that's what's going on. Final Fantasy is a different ballgame. Final Fantasy is like, even Pokemon's lowest point in the hobby, Final Fantasy was not even a tenth of that. you know, it's not even in the same realm. So that again is just another fallacy from a distribution level. But yeah, there you go. That's pretty much everything I have on this. Just to reiterate, it's all about Modern. Modern is trying to stabilize itself. I think it's at a good place. It's at a healthy place. That's what you want to see. If you want to like an analogy for what happened, it's like I think all of a sudden you had like this sprinter heartbeat, like we were at a sprinting pace in 2016-17, and then like, oh man, we got to recover for this, and now we're at a more healthy jogging, healthy stride that you want to be in, and that's just where we are right now. It's not a decline; it's more of an adjustment. So there you go. That's my take on it. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you had similar experiences or, you know, agree, disagree, or whatever your opinion is on this. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. As usual. Till next time.